Dude, what what the fuck did I just watch, bro? Like, yo, man. Yo, now I know this episode review is going up super late at night because after I got home from work, I took like a quick little nap. You know, I did an Eden Zero episode review with my co-host, which will probably be going up maybe tomorrow or on Thursday or maybe Friday. I don't know. And, you know, obviously the basketball playing games that were going on, I watched that. But during one of the games, which was the Thunder Pelicans game, I got to start on watching Oshi no Ko. Or Oshi no Ko. And my goodness, dude. From the moment the episode started, I was intrigued. Now, if you watched my entire What I Will Watch / review anime video, I was already intrigued with the premise. Obviously, the summary was kind of self-explanatory of the fact that, oh, this very pop idol star has a stalker that, you know, ends up killing this guy, and then apparently the guy's going to be said idol's child. And it took a direction or a few twists where I just did not see coming, man. And this was a crazy, great, amazing, phenomenal first episode. And the fact that this was only by the time you get to the end of the episode, and they friggin' say, oh, this is just the prologue. And I'm like, the prologue? This was just the prologue? What are we in for going on for the next, I don't know how many weeks we have left of this show. I was just at an utter shock and utter awe at what I watched today. One, when I was watching this episode, like probably about 5-6 minutes, I look at it, I look at the episode just to tap to pause it for a bit when I go eat my dinner, and next thing you know, I see it's like an hour and 24 minutes long, or 30, an hour and 24 minutes. I'm like, this is a whole ass movie. And my goodness, man, did they use this 1 hour pretty much and used it beautifully. This was absolutely an amazing episode, man. An amazing episode. Listen, if you see my Heavily Delusions review and then my Home Hero reviews, I've equally said, bro, these shows right now for me, outside of like some of the better ones, obviously like a Demon Slayer that I heard was pretty good this week too. What is it? I would say those two were my like two animes fighting back and forth with what could be anime of the season. After watching one episode, I'm just like, oh, dude, I don't know. Right now, my top 3 animes of this season right now are Heavenly Delusions, My Home Hero, and then Oshi no Ko. With what we got in this episode, I was just absolutely shocked. Right now, I think Oshi no Ko might be my number 1 right now this season. And I'm just at a loss for words of where we can freaking go. And again, for the other 2 shows I made a mention, I don't know where those shows are going. The same thing here. And it's going to, listen, at the end of the day, it's going to be an enjoyable ride. Now let's get into this freaking week's episode of Oshi no Ko. So the one thing I was very intrigued to see was, okay, who is this guy that ends up dying to the stalker, that pretty much ends up reincarnating, isekaiing into the main girl Ai's child, to be your child. One, we found out this guy's just a regular doctor, and which was absolutely interesting. And we find out that when Ai goes to this hospital, because Ai is this very popular idol, at age 16 the girl's already pregnant. Now I don't know how she got pregnant that early on in her life. Remember, Japan's culture is much different than American culture. I don't even know if that's like allowed in Japan, or if a girl that age would could get pregnant that early on. It has to be some consent thing or something. But even then, it's like, what the hell were you doing or fooling around with to already get pregnant by age 16? And obviously, the main issue with the fact that she's pregnant that they bring up at the start of the episode is, well, she's a very popular pop idol. And it's kind of pretty much frowned upon if a pop idol ends up having a relationship with another person and it gets out into the public, because then that could potentially damage their career. Because obviously what we see, like for example, a stalker or a huge fan base can see, like, get very upset about that because they view themselves as like, oh, I want to be the person dating this idol. But it's absolutely crazy. But she's like, listen, no, I'll still have my children. And we find out she's having twins. I'll still have my children, and I'm still going to be an idol through this. And this whole thing was just nice because you build a connection, you get an understanding of the doctor, you're getting an basic understanding of but you're mostly getting an understanding of the doctor, and you kind of his motivations and like why he actually, respects and really wants to be there for the birth of her children, because he has those ties to due to the fact that a kid he used to look after, who was in pretty much an ill condition, was a big, gigantic fan, which we later find out when the twins happen. We later find out, he doesn't know this yet, but we later find out that said girl that he took care of when he was a doctor, and she was obviously very ill and sick, and then ended up passing away at an age far too young, probably because I'm guessing she had like a cancer or something. We find out she's actually the sister to our main male character, Aqua, and her name's Ruby. So that's kind of the thing, and then you get the whole scene where he goes away, only a few maybe hours before gives birth to the twins. And then he ends up running into the freaking stalker, and then he tries to chase the stalker down, and the stalker kills him. And then he ends up reincarnating into one of the twins, which is Aqua, which was funny because the sick girl, or Ruby, in their past pretty much said, I wonder what it's like to be like the child of an idol or somebody that of popular. And it's kind of always interesting, and I never thought of that, like, man, I wonder what it'd be like to be the child of a famous like athlete in this world, or a famous pop star or movie star or something like that. That's probably like a lot of responsibility, a lot of territory, because then people are gonna be like, well, if that actor was great, then their kids gotta have some special talent, and things like that. So yeah, they reincarnate into her children, and throughout the episode you just kind of get the bond and the relationship of and her children. Yeah, they don't show a lot of it, but you get nice scenes where you see the bond and you grow a relationship with and you see the progress she's going through, and how much she does care about her children and Ruby and Aqua. And you see the fact that Aqua and Ruby, they obviously love being her children, and you see that connection being built, and you're just like, oh, I can get used to this, I'm really liking this, man. And then you get the ending part of the episode, and it just hits you like a ton of bricks, man. Which I'll get into in a second. I did absolutely find it absolutely hilarious that when they were like little babies, you have it to where the manager's like wife pretty much was like gonna sell out like all the fact that she has children and things like that, because she was getting sick of taking care of them, because she never signed up to be a babysitter. But I found it funny how pretty much Ruby and Aqua played themselves off as gods, or like it's some like some sort of like I don't know, like, what is it, like, some destiny for this woman. If she just continues doing this babysitting job, she will find another man or a second husband, and she'll marry, and the dude will be a popular guy. She's like, all right, fine, I'll be the most perfect person. And the funny thing is, funny thing about it is that, like, they were actually talking to her, and she actually excuse me, oh my goodness, she actually understood them, which it's funny because it kind of takes me back to the Rugrats day. If you ever seen Rugrats, I love Rugrats. It always took me back. I'm like, man, I wonder what would have happened if, say, Tommy or any of the other babies would end up just talking to their parents by saying, Mommy, Angelica did it, it wasn't us. You know, because you know the whole thing, when the adults in Rugrats go away, they talk like, even though they have their baby slang, they still talk like regular people do. But then they act like babies and they talk like babies when the parents are in the area. And I was like, I wonder if I wonder if Tommy or Chucky or any others could talk to their children like that before obviously the sequel series all grown up. But, you know, that's kind of the thing there. And I was just like, that was absolutely a funny scene. But, you know, you get this moment, you get these moments throughout the episodes where you have a bond and a grow and a development with these three characters of Aqua, I, and Ruby, and seeing, like, even though Ruby's not the best parent, or not Ruby, I is not the best parent, and she's not always there for her kids because she's doing her idol stuff. At the end of the day, you can see, like, she definitely does love them, even though she never said it. And which makes that moment when she does say it in her dying moments hit so damn freaking hard, man, because she ends up going to say, like, hey, you know, my mom never really took care of me, and she pretty much dropped me off at a foster home and never came back for me. And the fact that I'm able to try to be here for my children and kind of pretty much be different from what my mom was, even though this is kind of all a secret thing. And you can really see, like, she really did love her kids, even though she didn't say it. And this whole thing about a facade of this lies and things like that, it was absolutely crazy. You know, the fact that we get the start of where Ruby and Aqua's whole careers could go, with Aqua going the route of potentially being a very famous actor, you know, because the director's like, man, I'm just taking a liking to you, to the point, like, you see the one red-haired bobbed girl, which maybe potentially could be, like, I'm guessing Aqua's kind of like shipping person that maybe she likes or something like that. It looks like they're gonna have a little budding rivalry, but I could see it to where this girl definitely falls for Aqua, and maybe they become a thing. Ruby, on the other end, she ends up becoming, it looks like she's gonna end up taking the route of her mom, you know, pretty much doing what she couldn't do in her previous life, which, you know, in the first opening moments of the episode, the guy was like, well, you know, when you become old enough, when you become 16 and things like that, maybe I'll consider something like that about, you know, because I think the girl's like, why don't you marry me? And he's like, the dude was like, Aqua's like, dude, you know, when you get old enough, you know, maybe about an I's age, I'll maybe consider it, but there's no guarantees about that, and you become a pop idol and things like that. So she's kind of doing what she wanted to do originally, become a pop idol, but this time is just like her mom. Could definitely see it. She's doing this in respect for her mom, and the most important thing, even though they have blonde hair, especially Ruby, she looks just like her mom. Like, they kind of have like the spiky teeth. The only thing is they got the little starry in one of their eyes. I think Ruby has it in her right, and Aqua has it in his left. No, his right. No, I think Ruby has this little star in her right eye, and dude has it in his left eye. So unless it's backwards, but regardless, you know, you could see where she's gonna go, and things, especially with the fact that I did teach her some dance moves, and that was kind of a little bit of emotional. That was a very emotional scene right there, because it was a girl that, you know, in her past, all she knew was falling down, because she had like this disease that was pretty much killing her and making her body a lot weaker. So she obviously didn't understand or couldn't get the basis of the dance, and obviously she grew to get better at that due to I, and You know, when you get the scene, man, with the with the stalker, pretty much, you know, with the fact that it's like, oh, you know, but leading up to the scene, you have it to where I is calling up the biological father and saying like, oh yeah, this is where we live and things like that. I would hope you come over to see your children, and everything. And then, you know, you get that moment, and things like that, and you hear the doorbell, and you're like, oh, that's probably the dad, probably going to meet. And then lo and behold, the door happens, and you see that hooded guy, and it was the stalker, and he had these freaking bouquet of flowers, and you're like, oh, maybe he's just giving this bouquet of flowers. But then you see he ends up freaking getting a knife and impaling her and stabbing her, and I was watching, I'm like, no, 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 do not do this right now. Do not do what I think you're going to do right now. Literally, I was like, in my head I was doing that because I was watching the basketball game at the same time, and I was just like, do not do what I think you're going to do right now. Do not do what I think you're going to do. And they freaking did it, dude. Now, the one part to get out with the fact that she remembered this guy's name, because she's like, oh, you're one of my most dedicated fans, and she remembered him by name. It was absolutely crazy. But then you get the death scene of I, where she's dying and she's hugging on to Aqua very tightly, and Ruby's in the other room just pounding the door like, what's going on? What's going on? And then she overhears, and you have that moment to where you just have her eyes say like, man, I wish I, you know, knowing that she's gonna die and everything. And you have that moment knowing like, she's just saying like, I wish I could be there for everything you guys do, man. I really wish I could be there for your parents' days. And, you know, and it's just like, you're listening to her say all these things, and it really hits you, man. Like, I almost started crying for this moment. I was like, oh my gosh. And then when she ends up freaking finally dropping the line, I love you, telling her kids finally, like, and I love how they let her get that word off before she ended up dying. Like, you know, she remembered at last second. She's like, oh yeah, I just wanted to let you two know that I both love you. And that shit, man, when she said that line, that hit me, man. That hit me hard. And then you see just the shining glare of her eye just get darker and darker and darker, and then eventually just gone, or you see the hand fall down, and it's just like, oh my goodness. And I swear I did not see that coming. I did not see her dying in the first episode at all, because I was like, wait, she's literally the poster of this freaking anime. I'm like, they're killing her off. I'm like, where's the story gonna go? They're killing her off. I understand they have the idea of that Ruby and Aqua are somewhat the main characters of the series, mostly more Aqua. And they're gonna probably take a focus while he just looks maybe from his mom, looks at his mom from afar. But you see her die one episode in, you're just at a loss for words. And you find out, like, you know, the guy who ended up killing her ended up killing himself. So I'm like, he honestly deserved it. He honestly deserves to go down to hell for doing that, because he just ruined that. Just crazy dynamic. I love the fact that the manager's wife, she pretty much was like, listen, you know, in a way, she kind of was like their adoptive mother slash, in a way, she was more like their aunt, but in a way, she was also their mother, because every time Aqua and Ruby showed up to one of Ai's events, they would do the facade of like, oh, this is my children, you know, they're just here to watch, obviously, Ai. So I really did love that moment where she's like, listen, I don't know if you'll accept me or anything, and I don't know if those make you guys feel any better, but if anything, you may have never been my kids, but I always viewed you as my kids. So would you allow me to be your mother, for reals this time, pretty much. And I did love that moment. I thought that moment was very sweet, especially for that 1 minute when we saw at the start, like, she looked like she wasn't down to take care of them, but obviously the little fate, you know, the little lie, but you could see, you know, as the more we saw her, she was actually fine, and she actually grew to appreciate the two, Ruby and Aqua, and the fact that she did that was really nice of her. The fact that she's pretty much now taking custody and care of them. It seems like at the funeral, it looks like Aqua wanted that director who pretty much wanted him to do that to kind of raise him in a way. I don't know if like raise him like as a dad, but probably raise him like, oh, get me better at acting and things like that and make me become a star. And then you get the moment to where, you know, he realizes sitting in the car, like thinking about the stalkers, like the only way the stalker could have known about Ai's direct locations, everywhere she was at, the hospital, you know, the new place we lived. The only way is there was only one other person, and that was the biological father. So, and the fact that you get the episode pretty much to the point at the end of the episode where Aqua pretty much is like, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna kill my biological father for what he did to me and my sister, and most importantly, my mother. And now you're getting a freaking revenge plot line where this guy is gonna try to find his own dad and freaking kill him for what he did to Ai. And it's just gonna be absolutely crazy. We get a time skip a few years later. It looks like they're definitely teenagers in high school. Don't know, maybe they're 15, 16 years old. And yeah, it's just crazy. And it's like, oh man, absolutely insane where the story's gonna go. But Oshi no Ko, man, what an amazing effing episode. And I don't know where the story's gonna effing go, but holy shit, is this going to be one wild ride? Because if this was the prologue, there's gonna be more twists and turns in this show that I know coming. And right now it seems like the main motivation, the main goal at hand is for our boy Aqua to find his own father and then put him probably down under. Now, again, we don't know if it was the dad that sold out the information. It could have just been this guy just doing freaking weird stalking stuff, and he just somehow found this one. But again, it wouldn't be most surprising that it might be in the dad. We don't know who the dad was or what he looks like. We don't know if the dad was obviously a douchebag, or maybe like a boyfriend of Ai at the past, and then they fooled around and then she accidentally more than likely got pregnant, and the guy maybe ran off and not did the responsible thing and been a good, well, boyfriend and been a good father of their kids and things like that. Because it's like, well, why would you avoid your kids this entire time? There's gotta be something to it. So he's gotta maybe be a douchebag. It seems like dude's doing this all on his own. He hasn't told Ruby about this at all. And then two, these two don't even know, like, oh, I'm the doctor and then you're the little girl, you're the girl from then. I feel like that moment will definitely come, and that's gonna be of a shock. But you know, they play it off, like Ruby plays it off like, wait, could he be that? No, that's not the case. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting show, and I'm definitely looking forward to see where the story is gonna go, and I'm excited to see where next week on Wednesday takes us. But if you guys like the video, leave a like. Put in the comment section your thoughts on this week's first episode of Oshi no Ko, and your other thoughts about this anime. But till then, guys, stay safe out there and have a great rest of your day or night or whenever you're checking out this video. Peace.